As-Sabiqun wa rahmatullah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala-salah. Hayya ala-salah. Hayya ala-falah. Hayya ala-falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Give everybody fist bump.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nasta'dihi wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi jalla wa ala wa la akfuruhu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. As-salamu alaykum wa dinil haqq liyadhhirahu ala ad-din kullihi wa la kariha al-mushrikun. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is a servant and messenger. Allah sent him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. This way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd, inna Allaha ya'muru bil 'adli wal ihsani wa ita'i dhil qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsha'i wal munkari wal baghi ya'idukum la'allakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice, the doing of good, and the brotherly to kith and kin. He forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. فَمَنْ يَرِيدِ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ. Those whom Allah in His plan will to guide, He opens their breasts to Islam. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. O you believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except in a state of Islam. وَأَتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Hold fast all together to the rope which Allah stretches out to you, and be not divided amongst yourselves. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. You are the best peoples ever raised up for mankind because you enjoin the right, you forbid the wrong, and you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The most truthful of discourses is the book of Allah. The most trustworthy word is taqwa, or fear of Allah. The best of the community is the community of Prophet Ibrahim. The best way of life is the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The remembrance of Allah is the most glorious of all things. The best of all narrations is Quran. The best acts are those requiring the highest degree of will and determination. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The best way of life is the one adopted by the prophets of Allah. The most wretched blindness consists of going astray after finding the right way. The best acts are those that yield benefits. The best guidance is that which people may be able to follow. The worst blindness is the blindness of the heart. The upper hand is better than the lower one. The less which can meet one's needs is better than the more which can cause neglectfulness. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، يقول الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وقد مكروا مكرهم وعند الله مكرهم وإن كان مكرهم لتزول منه الجبال فلا تحسبن الله مخلفا وعده رسوله إن الله عزيز ذو انتقام. Mighty indeed were the plots which they made, but their plots were well within the sight of Allah, even though they were as much as to shake the hills. Never think that Allah will fail in His messenger, that is, in His promise to His messenger, for Allah is exalted in power, Lord of retribution. Of course, this is one of our favorite ayats, that's why we read it so often. Basically, what it's saying is there are plans afoot in the world. Makr is plan. That's why in the Quran it says, وَمَكْرُوا وَمَكْرُوا اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ مَاكِرِينَ. They plan and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners, of course. In this case, what it's saying is, وَقَدْ مَكْرُهُ مَكْرُهُمْ وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ مَكْرُهُمْ إِنْ كَانَ مَكْرُهُمْ لِتَزُولَ مِنْهُ الْجِبَالُ. The plans are so skillfully designed, and in some cases so well executed, that if they were to reach their fulfillment, it would shake the hills. Technically what it means, that Jabalu is hills, and Tazalu means the hills or Islam would disappear. It would shake the hills, meaning the hills would just come on down. In this case, it means these people are planning plans so skillful, so rotten, and so deadly that if they were executed with perfection and they were fulfilled with completion, it wouldn't be no more Islam. That's what it means. And when we look around the world, dear believers, we can see that today. But there's another ayat in the Quran. It says, let not their strutting about of the unbelievers through the land deceive you. This is saying, in the old days, people would walk, or a woman would walk, and she would be strutting. You said, that girl is strutting. It's a type of walk that has a tinge of arrogance and self-confidence. So, what it's saying is, don't let these people, they're strutting about in the land, all over the world. That means this is a global movement. They are all over the world, strutting in and out of everybody's business, cause and death and destruction. But don't let that deceive you. Don't let that fool you. Right? Don't let all of that what's going on cause you to sense that something is not full in Allah's plan, because in the other ayat it says that Allah's promise to the messenger will be completed or fulfilled. Right? So there's just another ayat from the same page. I just want to read it for. Oh, you believe, persevere in patience and constancy, and by and such persevere and strengthen each other and fear Allah, that you may prosper. So this is about sabr, asbiru, wa sabbiru. It's saying that whatever befalls you, you should have patience. And don't let the temporary happenings of these people and them moving about in the land make you think that they are a permanent reality, that they're going to be here for all time. And this is what Allah is saying to us. And I come with that today because we come at a time, we just had these conventions, the Democratic convention before last and this week. They just finished up the Republican convention. And when you look at the world today, the way it is, you'll see that absolutely none of them even touched on the world in which we live in today. Just a few points. Number one, California is burning down right now. When I say burning down, you would have to have been to forestry camps out there in California like I would to have even an idea what they're talking about on the news. When they say 1 million acres, you have to understand how much land, how much territory that is. And that's in this fire. Of course, they're going to have a fire next time and next time. The fire season is going on all up into maybe December, maybe November. The rainy season comes. But see, in California, they have 2 seasons. Here we have 4. Jump up, we got the winter, then we got the spring, everything is green. In the summer, look at it. Then we have the fall, it's nice weather again, but the leaves are falling off the trees. We have 4 seasons here. California have 2 seasons. The rainy season, right? And then the dry season. That's why they have so many forest fires. Okay, so what happens is, in the winter, if you want to see green America, you drive in December or January from here to California, and you're going to see nothing but dry, you know how it looks in the wintertime. Then when you hit Reno, Nevada, and you go over those hills into California, and you come down into Sacramento Valley, you're going to see nothing but green. It's going to be over here, and it's pitiful. Over there, it's just nice and green. You know, just beautiful. So, but by the time May run around, it stops raining. It's a little dry, so May, June, you can have an early fire season, like little fires they had, even in June. But July, get back. But August, like now, it's all over. The fire season kicks in, and last week, it was 100 and something degrees all over California. In Furnace Creek, it was 130 degrees. I know you can't understand the 100. I already know that, because when we go through Phoenix, Tucson, at 116 degrees, you just but add 15 degrees onto that. It's 130 degrees. That's the hottest temperature on earth. Now, they had hotter temperatures measured before. 136 degrees, Saudi Arabia, 134 in Libya. This was a long time ago. They know those measurements were not perfectly correct. But that 130 degrees the other week is by these new scientific super duper bubble gadgets that if it says 130 degrees, it's 130 degrees. I want you to try to imagine when it's 100 degrees here. Now it's about 85, 90 degrees. And you see how terrible it is? Just imagine, add 10 degrees, make it 100. Now add 10 on that, it's 110. Now you're getting into furnace, sticking your head in the oven feeling. Add 20 degrees on that 110 and you got 130. Good God. And then they want them to run around on fire trucks, right? With them tin hats and all of that, fighting fires. It's not possible. People need a rest, right? Okay. That's going on right now. Then they got, if you're from Louisiana, Texas, and all the places down there, they got the biggest hurricane to come ashore just the other day. And it just rolls on in. They said, man, this thing was going to go into 30 miles in, you know where the waves going to come in, 30 miles. And that's all happened. Nobody mentioned a word about it. Unemployment, small businesses disappearing. In New Zealand, they just sent the guy to killed 59 people down there, right, last year. Muslims in the Masjid, men, women, and children. The basketball players all just walked out the other day. They said enough is enough, right? You see them on TV. The pandemic, last night it was 184,000. That's what the brothers told me. They stopped showing it on TV. They used to have it in the corner every day to remember 157,000. Now, you know, 184,000, you flip a coin, by the time it hit the ground, it's going to be at 200,000 people next week. You're getting into people. You're getting into real pandemic. You're getting into real bubonic plague numbers, you know what I mean? When they used to, them plagues would scorch the land and kill up thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. We in that now. That's what we're actually in. Right now. Don't mention the floods. Don't worry about that. Don't mention the fires. But see, with all this going on, nobody mentions God. And the only place you find these type of statistics and discussions It's in the Bible and in the Quran and other religious literature, right? That God sent a plague on the people and it just busted them up. Floods of biblical proportions, where they evacuate. The stuff happening here in the United States is stuff that used to happen overseas a long time ago. They gotta evacuate hundreds of thousands of people because a volcano erupted or something, anything, right? All that's happening right here in the U.S. Police killing me and you. Last night's talk was boogeyman. Boogeyman meaning that whatever happened, it's your fault. You the boogeyman, right? The Negro. What are they saying? The Republicans saying last night? We don't want nobody uprising and jumping up and down. We got to protect our property. We got to protect our land. Isn't that right? And the only thing, in the 60s, all rebellion started behind police brutality. The Watts riot everywhere started when the police beat or shot Rodney King. They beat him, so they just jumped all up. And they showed it on TV, right? This is where they all come from. Now, the mixture of Israeli police departmentism, talk to the police here, you look at the clothes now that they're wearing here, is Israeli style. Flak jackets, tied down weapons. The police with long guns and weapons, all that stuff. Then they can wear ninja stuff, mask and all that, right? And they no-knock and stop and frisk goes back to Nixon time. What was no-knock? Before the police used to have to knock on the door. Knock, knock, knock. It's the police. And people were dealing with that in their own way. And then they said, we can't say that because then the people got drugs. They'll jump out the window, throw their drugs in the top, something like that. But they gave some reasons. No knock. Stop and frisk means they couldn't search you, illegal search and seizure, but they could pat you down. Now what is going on here? This is back in '69 and all that time. That was because of the Black Rebellion. You see, the Black Rebellion caused all that to happen. Law and order. You heard that before? Right now today. They're jumping up and down about law and order. Isn't that right? That's what they're talking about. That was Nixon's old call. Demonize the black people, right? Demonize the black people for wanting to be free. When they shoot a brother now, they're saying you don't have a right to be mad about it. You don't have no right to be mad. They're over-equating, and then they're saying the police is being oppressed. The police is shooting me and you for no reason. And they're not doing it like, years ago. You had to be in the backyard, dark, nobody see you. Then the police, gun, they open up on the brother. You notice nowadays? They're not doing that. They got people out with cameras, everybody taking selfies all of a sudden. They see the police, they see the stuff going down, they turn the camera, and every killing they've had recently has been on camera. And they don't care. Can you imagine before if you to pull out a camera and to pull that stuff, remember the people, the Black Panther Party used to go around and watch the police, and the police might cover their badges up when they're beating somebody. No, they don't care. They don't care because they have worked on the public's mind. The police is not the problem, it's the niggas' problem. Not only are they a problem, the nice parents of all of these people are saying, the lady said the other day, I'm praying for all you people, talking about the people. And then she said, and I'm praying for the police too. Basically, something long in your hearts. So you know how people are. They forgave. In every demonstration. Because George Floyd, it don't make no difference. Think about it. The families, parents all said, we want peaceful demonstrations. Right? All of them. Nobody came up and said, burn, baby, burn. Nobody. But then when it gets dark, they have day people on motorbikes and going around starting these fires and blaming it on us. And in our demonstrations, they have people stopping us and say, you can't do this in our demonstration. Right? In some cities, they have police officers, just not in uniform, of course, breaking windows and doing stuff. And then they blame it on us. And the problem is not the police, right? The problem is us. We're the boogeyman. We got to reestablish law and order. Forget about it. Black Lives Matter. If you haven't figured it out by now, something's wrong. Black Lives Matter to me and you. They don't mean nothing to the system. You're an impediment. You're in the way. You're the boogeyman. Right. Remember the boogeyman don't get you? Every problem, you started. And all the big companies, you show me a Negro that sent a factory overseas and disemployed all these white folks. You ever heard of deindustrialization of America? That's in the 1980s. Their plan, deindustrialize America, is making too much money, and we're gonna, the people. Oh, you should have seen, they had Negroes, man, working at the GM and them places out in California and the Midwest too. The auto workers was making so much money. If y'all remember them old movies with, that wasn't Richard Pryor, it might have been Richard Pryor, where the people working in them car factories was making so much money they was snorting cocaine and all that. They had the money to snort cocaine. You know how much cocaine was in? $100 per gram. That's what it was in them days. $100 per gram. And they got cars up. This, of course, in the movie, but it has to have some basis in reality. The auto workers was living in the hills. In California, when you live in the hills, you're in the big time. Then big companies said, that's it for the Negroes. Most of my friends, some came out of Masjid 81, they said, man, how much y'all making out that GM now? Oh, 21 hours, stuff like that. That's 1980 and 81, not now. Now they're just trying to get you, boost you up to $15 an hour. If people make $25 and $30 an hour, they feel like they're not doing too bad. But you got to make almost $100 an hour to live a human lifestyle. At least 50 or 60, right? Per hour. You got to have that kind of money. You got to pay taxes. You got to pay insurance. I don't know how people do it. But that's what they got to do. Now let me get back to, remember, you're the boogeyman. You're the problem. It's those immigrants. Now that little crazy man called Ronald Reagan. You know, he was from California. He was the governor of California, then he became president. All his friends was big growers in California. Do you know what Ronald Reagan passed? He passed the thing. He said, as many of y'all can come here, great. He's the first one that passed the release bill. He wanted to have open borders, where you can come on over. Because see, in the old days, the people came over, and then they did their work, and they went back to Mexico. So all their families in Mexico would drive in big trucks, and they was living good. Then they closed the border down so people couldn't go back and forth, so they had to stay over here. Right? Dumb. You got to stay over California, and his grower friend who's growing grapes and peaches. You know, California probably it grows almost half the stuff that we eat. You see on the box, California. Okay. So, all the killings and everything that's been going on here has been going on in spite of our desire for peace and tranquility. And everything from factories going overseas, they blame it like me and you did it. Like the Latinos sent all the factories. Them big white folks sent them factories, right? They sent the factories over there. And then they blame it on me and you like we did it. Right? It's the Mexicans' fault, they just right. Making boogeyman, one of those advertisements showed a lazy Mexican with a big sombrero under a tree. You know, like a lazy Mexican, like they lazy Negroes. The hardest work, you see these Latinos around here, they're getting a little Americanized now, but they work all day, anytime, right? And the reason that they're making money because of the people that did the electricity here, they had two trucks that were still downtown almost. And they were older brothers. I said, hey man, I heard y'all was a famous black company in DC. And he said, yeah, we used to have 12 trucks. 12 trucks. You know, going out professional, all of them quality work, all of them by the code book, all that stuff, no jackleg. And I said, 12 trucks, how many of y'all got now? I said 2. They probably don't have none now because them 2 old guys finished 20 years ago. So what happened is people come to work on Wednesday and want to get paid on Friday and want to get full pay and they wouldn't work. We couldn't keep those trucks rolling. We couldn't keep them rolling. That's what they said. And it bears some resemblance to the truth, you know. That's not saying that we're lazy. But anyway, they had the picture of the hardest working people in the world with a sombrero on sleeping under a tree. In other words, they give a picture, they done made the boogeyman out of the Mexicans. Now in California, you don't see many Mexicans around here, but you get out that way, that's all it is. On my block, we the last Negroes, the last we holding out. Ain't nobody else on the block but us. All the Negroes is gone. When we first moved on that block, we was blockbusting. We was 2 Negroes on that block. 55. 65 was all Negroes. Right? And now, we're the last Negroes left. Anyway, let me speed up. We're talking about the transitions in history. Fires, hurricanes, small business, police killings, unemployment rampant. Our people being disrespected and abused, and all of a sudden, we're the problem. So here's what we're saying. I want you to think about what's going on here in America. What's really going on? Okay? Somebody hired Don. We've been saying this from day one. Somebody hired Don Trump. His mission, number 1, integrate into the Republican Party and destroy it. Number 2, use the remnants of the Republican Party to attack the Democrats. Now, you said, who would want to do that? Well, somebody from somewhere else may have studied America. And when they looked around America, they might come up with a Y'all ever heard of divide, conquer, and rule? What about in all of our countries around the world? The American CIA and all those people are there causing fitna, right? How? Divide one group of people against another. It's called divide, conquer, and rule. Is it new? No. Pharaoh said, kill the men and leave the women folk alive. That's a great trial for him. So Pharaoh did what? Read the Quran, divided the people in sections. Never unified the people. When the people are all unified, why, they can defend themselves against who? You. So look at Don now. Don always thought of himself as rich and powerful, but he's a dummy, a big dummy. Well, look at this, what is it, all up in Atlantic City? 2 big casinos. What happened? Collecting, they look like firewood or something. Cobwebs, everything in there. He's a bum when it comes to business. His daddy kept him up. Right? One thing old Cohen said the other day, he said, anybody that told y'all that he's rich, he said, why do you think he don't want you to see his tax return? They say he's broke. We've been knowing it all along. Flat broke. Why? He don't never pay nobody? You build anything for him? And what happened? This is the first guy as president come to the presidency with 51 cases in court. 51, what he owe other people. Right? So he gets you to do a little work on a giant building, and then he don't pay you. And these contractors are going to be white, let's say medium construction level. They're going to be able to do pretty good sized projects, put 100 employees or something like that. So to us, they would be considered rich, because their projects are multi-million-dollar projects. Right? They do work for Don, he don't pay him. Don owe him $50 million, he said, I'll give you 5, call it a day. 5, right? And they have to add it up. Well, we go to court, and it'll take so many years. By that time, my company's flat. Right? That's the kind of employee, that's what Don been doing. Trump Towers, count around the world, how many of them belong to him, or how many of them just got his name on it? Just do fact check. You don't own them no more. People pay him to use the Trump name because it used to stand for class and quality. Now it stands for stupidity and insanity. Divide, conquer, and rule. Look at America. Divide the white folks and the black folks, right? Get the police on your side, and the police kill blacks, browns, and everybody else they get their hands on, right? Divide, conquer, and rule. Divide the liberals and the conservatives, right? A great leader, what do? They always unify people. Bums divide people. For America's sake, no. Somebody somewhere then hired Don. Well, how would they hire somebody to do that and they're in America? Very simple. People spy for other countries, they do. Now suppose you're arrogant and mean, and you don't care nothing about nobody. Suppose your hero is Hugh Hefner. You remember Hugh Hefner? Playboy magazine? He's 100 years old, sitting down with a night coat on and Playboy buttons. I'm just saying. That's his hero. Y'all remember that? That's his hero. That's his idol, Hugh Hefner. Suppose my hero was Iceberg Slim. Now what kind of doggone superfly? Somebody, my hero is Iceberg Slim, right? And I'm going to lead y'all to freedom. My hero is Iceberg Slim. Big pimp, writing books, talking crazy, all that. Right? That's my hero. His hero is a playboy bunny man. That's his hero. Yes, I love him. I just like that lifestyle. And he proves it, right? Look, you want somebody to destroy a country? Well, you got to get somebody that don't care nothing about the country. He care about himself. So you can hire him. I'm telling you, add it up. Believe me, don't believe me, it don't make no difference. Add it up. Take out your pencil and paper and add up. What has he been doing? What is the learning curve like? Suppose he didn't want to be president. He just wanted to be president, but he didn't want to do the work. Well, finally he'd get into the job, right? And that would be a learning curve. Right? A learning curve. You wouldn't get worse on the job. You would get better at least. I mean, if you just can read and write, you would say, I just made a mistake here. I'm going to improve. It's called a learning curve. You don't have no learning curve. You have an effing up curve. Whatever, something happens, right? He gonna improve on messing up. Tell the truth. Show me a learning curve where he learned this and that. I learned that if you tell people this and make people do that, they won't like you and they'll hate you and that. And management curve. Remember we had one on crisis management? We had two programs on crisis management. That means if a crisis happened, well now we way off into it. We're up to 185,000 people dead. This is not speculation, right? We told y'all that the first day. What was the program? Right here at Jum'ah. Crisis management. If you have a crisis, this is the process. Right? I didn't write that stuff. That's what the white folks have a whole stack on of management principles. All he had to do was punch the computer crisis management and then it just fell right on how he could read it. And out of it might have 30 or 40 different approaches, but they all say basically the same thing. Right? Did he learn anything? Absolutely not. What does he say? We're going to get that boy, y'all remember them old snake oil wagons, the guy go around, he'd have a bottle of medicine. This is in the Old West. And it costs $1 per bottle. Now, $1 is a lot of money in those days. And that medicine was actually a speedball. Speedball meant that it had two main ingredients, heroin and cocaine. And what the guy tell you, you take this syrup right here, and it's going to cure you of anything you got. And you know what? The people drank it, and they thought they was cured. Why? The pain. I don't care whether it's cancer. That heroin would kill the pain, right? And then the cocaine in there, Coca-Cola cocaine, it was legal before 1914. The cocaine was legal, so the pain, speedball, the pain, the heroin would just knock it out. And then the nod, no nod, because that cocaine juice you up. So man, you floating on a cloud. You say, I'm cured, I got the Holy Ghost, right? And that's what this dummy is going around. This is Trump oil. $2 a bottle. You drink this, your hair gonna go back. Here's a man, but it's technically bald head and everybody know it. Right? This don't grow hair on your head. It's gonna shave your fingernails. It's gonna put hair on your chest. It's gonna make your feet shake right. It's gonna make you have good digestion. It's gonna, and he got a whole list of things. You follow him, you listen to that crap he's talking, and you're cured. Right? Gonna give you eyesight to the blind. Gonna get people out of the hospital. Only thing is almost 200,000 people have died. Most of them color, of course. So why should he care, right? As your color, your grandmama died. divide, conquer, and rule. He done got, if you listen to, well, I didn't listen to all of it, because technically I couldn't. I can listen to the Democrats. They lie within the framework. You said, boy, they lie, and they be lying. But the Republicans live on another planet. This last, they didn't mention none of this stuff. Police getting shot. They mentioned rioting, rebellion. They live on another planet. Who would do that? Some foreign entity that got a fool that's determined to destroy America and is working. Yeah, Trump is working for somebody else. Don't believe all of this, the Russian. It may be. Whoever it is has studied the situation and they are applying it. Right? And it's working. Now me and you, the poor Negro, we're talking about saving the world, of course, making it nice for the world. We're talking about alternative resistance and nonviolent resistance, right? So we look at that, we said this is an opportunity for me and you. It's an opportunity for Muslims. It's an opportunity for people who are so optimistic, so dreamland, so limitless in their dreams, and unrestrained optimism, that they want to be like, what they call them, y'all ever watched it when my daughter was young, she used to watch Power Rangers. You know, Power Rangers, and then the Power Rangers always did good, but the bad guy come in, he morphed up so big that they had to morph up too, right? So it's two big giants fighting. Right now, we ain't big enough. We're disorganized, not enough focus, but we have to have the desire. The only thing it takes, not the ability to morph up, but the desire. I want to be, this first stage, I want to be big enough and serious enough to fight them bums. I want to actually rescue America. Can you imagine the Negro, me and you? Now, I'm not saying they haven't been nice to us. I mean, you know, lynching here and there, stuff like that. But guess what? They're not after Negroes anymore by themselves. You know, white folks, there's more white folks dying. Didn't you go down to Dixie last year? And all of them? Because it sounded like a crazy man. We want to help white folks. That's what that, right? Because of their opiate addiction. Well, we realized it was bigger than us. And we had a history with it. We knew how it worked and how it did to the people in West Virginia, the people in Carolina. White folks, they had no idea. Even white folks, a few years ago, I first read this article on the only people in America that had a decline in their life expansion was white men. Even Negroes was living a little longer with all this high blood pressure and rheumatism and all. He's still living a little bit longer each year. But they done addicted so many white men to get their guns, because all the people's got guns in America is white men, right? They put drugs in the community to break the movement, to break the back of our momentum. 50 years ago, nobody locked their doors, not nobody. People did not generally lock their doors in the black community. Maybe some of the older people remember. You had safety in the black community. When they introduced drugs on a large scale, then by the 70s we had drive-by shootings. By the 80s we had mass gang killings. By the 90s it was just all done, right? It was all done. Everything was wiped 3 years, right, it was dead. The black family was dead. The black organizations were dead, or they were full of handkerchief-headed people, right? Because the mayors, the governors, or whatever they are, how many of them they said, the people are burning things, the black people in Chicago are killing each other. Have you heard any one of them say, you're the ones that started the gangs here? You are the ones that introduced drugs and they don't have the courage, right? When Reverend Wright, Obama's old-time preacher, said, God damn America. America that brought all these drugs here. And Obama had to give an apology. Reverend Wright, he might be Reverend wrong and all of that. You know what I mean? You see what I mean? But the Reverend was right. He was correct. We've absorbed all of this information. But we're Muslims. So, what are we going to do with this? It's not just about, we just happen to be getting killed. When you look at all the demonstrations, you're going to find as many white people there as black. Maybe more even now, right? Now, some of them are told to be there, and the people don't know why they're there. We went downtown to a lot of these, and we called it, tried to teach with the loudspeaker about sit-ins. You know, what we had in the 60s. Sit-ins and teach-ins. A teach-in was, right, you have, you take over a university and you teach the people. Why are we doing this? What they write in it. It's called a teach-in. If you notice all those demonstrations, there were thousands of people out there a couple of months ago. What were they there for? If you ask them, why are you here? They didn't know. We're just mad, right? And then when they walk around peacefully, then at night, the people that the United States government hired, right, hired them to come and burn up everything and blame it on them, right? And then a month and a half or two ago, they changed the whole dialogue. Some silly Negro that supposedly said something about Jews, right? And now you have Negroes, they ain't talking about Black Lives Matter, they're saying we're sorry to Jews. How the hell did that happen? You got to slow this stuff down, just let it down. How did that happen? How they changed the dialogue from the man got his knee right on the Negro and he dies, and you can tell he's dying because he says, my stomach is hurting, the stomach is hurting. That means, when you die, you have your body relaxes, your autonomic nervous system collapses, you have a defecation or whatever it is, right? So his stomach, and you see in deadly situations, when people are just getting ready to go, I know them riots in the penitentiary and stuff, people would call for their mama. Now niggas, black people would call for Jesus a lot. Jesus, they remember when was I safe? And the Negro in Jesus' hands. And the white boy, when his mama was right. This is stuff that's in people that you don't put it in yourself, but it's there. And when he called for his mama, he was just about to die. Because that's what happens before you die. And they knew it. They knew it. The guys there standing there playing pocketbook. And then they changed the subject. Till nobody's talking about that. And then that goes along, and the government is saying, well, we love everybody. They want to take Aunt Mama pancakes. I went down there and bought 3 gallons of syrup, not that I like Aunt Mama pancakes. What Aunt Mama got to do with anything, right? We're closed down there. old handkerchief-headed Aunt Jemima. This is a modern, this is slick Aunt Jemima, right? So leave Aunt Jemima alone, leave Aunt Jemima out of this and solve the problem, right? Not something, and now I go in the store, they still there. I think they was lying. But anyway, our job, teaching, spreading, and sharing our philosophy, because nobody else has got it. Sharing the solutions to fix America, to have the vision and the dream about how you want the world to be, and trying to unify enough people and organize enough people and focus enough people to get involved in that. That's where we're coming from. There's nothing else to do about that type of thing. So that's why we're saying, anybody want to participate, you don't have to know nothing. All you have to do is have the desire to want to morph up big enough. That means increase in knowledge and information and all that in order to deal with this situation. So we want to organize to our limit. We want to morph up. And we'll move toward a close with this. They put everybody they want on these TV shows and all of that. But they're very selective. The Negroes that you see are not talking about this. The Muslims that you see are not talking about this. But I think most people know that this is the things, this is the problem-solving reality that we're living in. And none of the Negroes are talking about it. None of the Muslims are talking about it, right? None of the news, they don't even mention it, right? Because they want to sound somewhere in the box. Now, we're not getting into Dick Gregoryism. Now, I really like Dick Gregory, you know, but I didn't realize why he was stretched out so much till I got, years ago, a set of, y'all might have some of them. It was Malcolm X 30 lectures. And Dick Gregory was in several of them from 1964 and all that. So Dick Gregory was talking about the FBI then. Remember, he was the biggest comedian in America in those days. He was big. Dick Gregory was big, the biggest comedian we had at that time. And then he started getting a whole lot of sense. Well, he always had a lot of sense, and you could hear it. But then he really started making moves, and pretty soon he just integrated himself right out of that so-called big-time comedy. So the FBI was giving him a lot of trouble, and he used to talk about the FBI even in '64. So imagine his evolution. So when we say we're not going to not get involved in Dick Gregoryism, but Dick Gregory was so far out there that he didn't control himself and stayed within the perimeter of what people understand a little bit. That's why we've been talking about science fiction management for 20 years here. You've heard us mention it, but we don't get too far off into it. Why? Because we would land smack dab on another planet. On another planet, because what's happening with me is not happening with y'all. I'm out there, I would be telling you, but I look like I had 2-3 years and everything. The brother's a nice brother, but it's too far. So what we're doing is we're staying, touching the ground, but easing off as far as we can go. Right? That's our job. That's what we have to do. But you don't have to worry about Sean Hannity. He ain't going to invite nobody nowhere anymore because they want stupid people. People say, you did a good job with Sean Hannity. I said, I did better than a good job. I leaned over, and when I was talking to him, you didn't see it on the TV. I said, boy, are you wearing pantyhose or drawers? You know what that means? I ain't put that on there. But I said it. Some of y'all have seen the programs with Daniel Pipes in it. You know, the big Zionists. Now, don't forget now, who do you think Donald Trump's advisor is right now? Sean Hannity, isn't that right? And what everybody say, Sean got his ear. So, Daniel Pipes on TV and all that, in these big audiences. So you can call him out. I did. I said, you're talking all that stuff about Imam Musa. I said, you can meet me in Philadelphia. That's where you're supposed to be from. We'll get a place down at the university. And you're talking all that trash behind our back. Meet us out in the open. I am not going to. He wouldn't even respond to me. He's just talking like he's talking to the thing. I'm not going to respond to Imam Musa. I don't like his attitude. Of course. You don't want to get slapped around. They want, now if you and them, oh, please, let me tell you how I don't want, we're not no bad Muslims. Oh, Lord, I must have been good Muslims. Right? You come on our show. Crawl in the door. You wipe my foot on your head, and you can come on in. Right? Abe Foxman, their biggest boy, the guy down there. Zionist thing. Imam Musa is a mouthpiece for Tehran. Yes, well, come on out and show how that's working. And he won't even answer, right? But he'll answer everybody else. You can see anybody. You can see the National Negro. When he said something about the Zionists, the next day, he was on there playing Mendelssohn. Remember playing the violin? Anybody remember that? You may listen to the part. Y'all don't remember the National Negro playing the violin? Mendelssohn. Mendelssohn's supposed to be a Jew that became a Christian. And it's the National Negro. The National Negro, right? They have their people selected. Chose. And they're not going to let nobody get on their thing unless they are selected by boss man. I'm going to move the water close. Steve Emerson. Well, I don't need to get him. But he's another one of these cowards. The National Terrorism Project. Something like that. Imam Musa is a terrorist and all that. Well, come on out and prove it. What are you talking about? Don't stand back there and throw rocks and hide your hand. Come on out. They won't come out. Why they won't come out? Because you're not afraid of them. They ain't gonna have that. If you are bootlicking, you see a Muslim on national TV, you know something's wrong with him. They're not gonna let nobody get on there that talks like this, that outlines what everybody knows. They call Donald Trump the divider in chief, right? That's what they call him on the news. He's the divider in chief. Well, why don't they bring somebody on that can explain how he systematically divides, why he systematically divides, how this is linked together? Okay, we're going to close. We've been having some experience with this post-American empire. Man, this is 2000, that's 9 years ago. Self-control, discipline, nafs, Quranic command, ulul amr minkum, those who are charged with authority from amongst yourself. Psycho-degradable. Y'all know about biologically degradable, right? But what's psychological? Psycho-degradable. Psycho-degradable is when you can take all the doo-doo that they throw at you, turn it into a type of psychological compost, and use it against them. That's what psychodegradable is. Right? Remember, psychological guerrilla warfare, psychodegradable. They said, these niggas is getting too smart because it's an idea. If you believe that you can take anything people use against you and transfer it into something that is useful, just imagine, can't nobody do anything to you. Because you're going to be 80% successful, 70%. That means you're going to get a track record of turning things that people use against you for your benefit. This is called psychodegradable, not biodegradable, but psychodegradable. They try to use something against you, and before long they babbling at the mouth and stuttering. Right? Because you done run what we used to call boss game on them. You gotta have courage, you gotta just try. Just give it a shot. They ain't gonna hurt you. Psychodegradable. Oh, look at here. Well, Tafweed, delegation, and Rida, well, please. Design fitness. We're moving toward a close. Design fitness. That's when you design your own fitness. And people respond to the fitna you design. Right? That means that you're controlling your environment. You cannot be a dummy and do that consistently. Design fitna. I'll close with this. This is Project Imam Hussein in America. Somebody wanted me to say something because this is Muharram. I think it's the 8th day of Muharram, and in 2 more days it will be Ashura, the 10th of Muharram. Imam Hussein was martyred on that day. Him and a lot of his family members. Imam Hussein was the grandson of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is where you get Iraq involved, Najaf and Karbala, all of that involved. Now, just got to remember that we told everybody here that out of the 22 million people going to Najaf and Karbala, there's something happening within them that they don't know what it is, right? But it's there. And on January 3rd of this year, when they martyred Qasem Soleimani, millions of people, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, all that area came out and said, this guy is all right. Everything that he wanted to do as a leader came out to be because of his martyr. That was Qasem Soleimani. So the point is that Allah protects your martyrdom. Allah is not going to let anybody achieve martyrdom. That's why we say in Islam, he or she achieved martyrdom. And when you do, everything is forgiven. Do you know if you're martyred, they don't wash your body, your blood purifies you. You're buried like that. Right? There's no ghusl if you're martyred. On the battlefield especially, there's no ghusl. You're buried like that. It purifies you. Everything you owe is gone except debt. Do you know what? You do not have to pass the judgment, your martyrdom, right? Y'all say, remember this Nadi? Oh, bam, straight to paradise. Project Imam Hussein in America was just like it was on there. Me, my picture. So my grandson was killed, my son has been, you saw all the pictures. And I was telling them, y'all got Imam Hussein right here in America, right? Talking all that stuff out of your side of your mouth. The same people that should have rallied behind You know, I'm going to big programs passing all this out, and everybody got their hands in their pocket. I said, man, that's cold-blooded. I mean, not cold-blooded. I recognize that there are people here in America that's making claims about who they follow, but they don't practice it. I'm not going to say who they are. They don't practice it, right? So therefore, we practice what we preach. Oh Allah, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and niggardliness. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by death and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice us with what is lawful. Keep from us what is prohibited. With thy grace, make us free from want